Vikalpa Vishwakarma, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Very nice to hear your name. Do you know the name of the magazine of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad?
Sir, it is known as Vikalp.
That's why I'm asking whether you know the name of the Vikalp means alternative, right?
Yes, sir.
I wish you come, join the services, and provide the alternative way of both the implementation as policy making.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to know that you are an MTech in electronics. You studied engineering from MKSS College of Engineering for Women, Pune, and you also got Golden Award, Golden Peacock Award. You presented papers. You worked for Ericsson Industries before that, and you wrote the civils, this Indian Forest Service. Have you been selected there?
Yes, sir. Currently, I'm undergoing training. Okay. I have joined 1 month ago.
Right. So you are in IFS, Indian Forest Service.
Yes, sir.
Part of the All India Services, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Before I go deep into your suitability, which you are already there, you have been selected to one of the one of the All India Services. I was interested to know what made you to write West Bengal as number 2 in Zone 4, and you are from Maharashtra, but you applied for Zone 1 and you preferred Rajasthan as number 1. And your preference gives me, being an electronics engineer, that a lot of strategy went there. Can I know the strategy, please?
Sir, as far as I can remember, I opted for zone, the top zone as my home state, that is Maharashtra. Okay. And second was Karnataka in the southern zone.
Maybe there's some mistake in this. What yes, I got to know is that your Zone 3 is Maharashtra, number 1.
Yes, sir.
Zone 3 you gave. That is reference. Zone 3 you gave 1, Maharashtra 1. Fine. Number 2 is your Zone 5 is number 2. You gave Karnataka as number
yes,
1, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
And last is number 5. Out of 5, the last is Nagaland.
Yes, sir.
So Nagaland is 30th state, 5 into 6, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Nice. I understand the strategy. Now you want to work in your home state. Marathi is your motherland, mother tongue, right?
No, sir. I'm a native of Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. Okay. So my mother tongue is Hindi. But due to my father's profession, we have been staying in Pune for last 25 years. So I have kind of adapted to that culture.
I understand. Pune has been known for many important cultural as well as the best things. One of the yes, best contributors from Pune, including Savitribai Phule, even Chhatrapati Shivaji, even before that, in between the great Balagangadhar Tilak, all great people. Pune is also known for the center of the Peshwas, right?
Right, sir.
Supposing you become the collector of Pune or collector of Pune, how will you be handling the issues with the commissioner of police Pune, especially if the government is an MBA type of government, as we have seen, a coalition?
So can you come again, the last part of the question?
You become an IAS officer, you are the collector of Pune, district Pune. There is a commissioner of Pune who is a senior IPS officer, and you are working in a coalition government like the present government. While I don't want you to comment on the working of any coalition government, which we are nobody to call upon, how do you handle the functional problems, issues, as well as the structural issues in contributing to your number 1, number 2, number 3 preferences in terms of women empowerment, in terms of the best services for the district of Pune?
Yes, sir. Sir, as I'm in a position of looking forward as the collector of Pune, and coordination with the commissionerate system would be my top priority. So coordination part should be given the first preference. Secondly is the identification of the issue areas. So I would be looking at the issue areas in 2 terms, urban Pune and rural Pune. That would give me an ease of identifying further challenges in details. And third one is, as you mentioned, that the structural and the functional issues in handling the women challenges. So I would believe, and I have lived in Pune. So I feel that it is a much safer place for women. Furthering the safety aspects for women, I would suggest certain measures like integrating the safety practices all throughout the supply chain, like lightening the dark zones, identifying the dark zones and lightening them by public lighting systems. Secondly, using of internet facilities to facilitate emergency calling if a woman is found in difficult positions. Also, if I may add, specific zones like transport areas, so to assist women in experiencing a safe drive, we can coordinate with agencies like Uber and Ola to provide for details of the drivers and to provide a safe experience for the women riders. So this can be a case study. So I would deal in this way.
Nice to know that. Now, having been studied in Pune itself and having known this thing, you also know, I suppose, that Pune has been a center of industry. Tata's, Bajaj, and also one of the best known, including our the COVID shield, the one that is there, the vaccine centers. So how do you use the talent that is available in Pune city for administration? In other words, maintaining the ethical value, at the same time going by the conduct rules, being an all-India service officer, not seen as somebody who is very cozy with the capitalists of the country, but at the same time, utilizing the talent management in the captains of the country, of the industry. What is your one contribution, if I may say so, as an engineer, as an MTech from Pune, you will be contributing the administration of Pune?
So keeping the value of the Indian Constitution as the benchmark to serve the people of the country. So the last people in the queue should be served. So this would be my philosophy. And as an electronics engineer, I would enable the technology to serve and facilitate smooth service delivery to the last mile. And as you asked, that Pune is a center of all the great technological institutes like National Institute of Virology and the Covishield vaccine manufacturing. So there is a huge talent pool present in Pune, be it engineers or pharmacological graduates, and also life sciences graduates. So this talent pool can be utilized, and certain websites can be made from the Pune administration side, asking for volunteers or technological experts to assist the administration in smooth functioning of whatever emergency situations the district faces.
What's your view about the position of women's safety, especially in states like Bengal today, wherein even child rape and things like that are being investigated by the CBI when they are being given, and the same kind of thing is happening in Maharashtra as well. How do you reconcile to this center state kind of thing? If I say so, supposing I'm a citizen of the country, I'm paying taxes to both the center and the state. As a citizen, don't I have the choice to choose my investigating officer? Shall I be leaving it to the discretion of the chief minister or to the mercy of a high court judge?
Sir, India is the largest democracy, and to manage such a huge democracy, there needs to be an institutionalized mechanism for everything, be it the administration, policing, or civic administration. So giving the powers to individuals uh, would be desirable, but not so much practically possible. So if done by the state governments or the high courts, as you mentioned, it is a more structured and smooth functioning of democracy, I believe. So it is desirable indeed that individuals should get a chance to choose who gives justice to them. At the same time, for practical purposes, the system.
Now, you are a technocrat. And today, even a rickshaw puller in Pune has got 2 telephones.
Yes, sir.
Is it not possible? A country which could give 180 crore vaccinations at the record-breaking time. Is it not possible? If there is
So
a
it is possible. Yes, sir, it is possible, and we might look
it is
at it
desirable,
as a
it is
future.
possible, and
Yes,
it
sir.
may come, right? Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Definitely.
Next.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So Vikal,
Vikalpa. Yes, sir.
so to begin with, what is the meaning of your name, Vikalpa?
Sir, it is alternatives.
Alternative.
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between Vikalp and Sankalp?
Sir, Vikalp is alternatives and Sankalp is the determination and aim and ambition. We have made a Sankalp. So we have made a target or an aim for ourselves.
Okay, so you think that you have Sankalp in your meaning, or you are an alternative to something?
Sir, even though my friends tease me with me being an option for everyone, I believe that Vikalpa as a name gives me meaning to find alternatives for everything. Whether I do one thing, I would have an alternative if it fails. So
Yes.
I go by backup plans everywhere.
So administration requires alternative sometimes,
Yes, sir.
or for most of the time. But anyway, options and optional, you had geography. So Pune, if I connect it to, then I find that Pune is a very good educational hub, and so is Bangalore too. Okay, so what is the difference between these two, and why these two places are favorite for education activities?
Right, sir. So going by the historical reasons, Pune has been a seat of educational institute since very long. And also the social reformer wave that came in Pune, starting with Savitribai Phule, Jyotiba Phule, and further Dr. Karve, which I am blessed to have been studied in those organizations. So a wave of social reformers gave it a very good foundation to become the seat of education institutes for Pune. Sir, I am not very specifically aware about the history of Bangalore as being the educational capital. Also, the geographical proximity to Mumbai gives it an industrial hub. So Pune becomes an industrial hub, and wherever there are industries, so educational institutes automatically thrive
No,
around them.
yeah, Vikalpa, if I'm connected to the geography in particular of Pune and of Bangalore, so there is some common thing in these two places, but the reason is different geography wise.
Sir, if I may point out the climatic conditions, the climate is moderate in both the cities, and it provides a favorable conditions for favorable living condition at both the places. And also Pune is nearer to the Western Ghats, so that provides.
Okay, what is the sea level? What is the sea level of Pune?
Sir, I'm not aware of the figure.
And what is sea level of Bangalore?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
So sea level is making the difference in the temperature for Bangalore, but
Yes,
not
sir.
for Pune. But anyway, so you are an engineer, right? Electronics and electrical.
Yes, sir.
What is the mass of electron?
Sir, if I may take some time. Sir, I'm confused between the charge and the mass. 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 31 is the charge. I'm not aware of the mass.
Okay. And what is the amount of the electricity charge that your body may produce, and the use of it sometimes in the medical?
Sir, I'm not aware of the quantity, but the static charge our body produces and we experience sometimes the static charge.
Okay. There is some disease also wherein body starts producing more current, and we sometimes the person also feels sometimes.
Thank you, sir. I was not aware of the disease.
The pacemaker Pacemaker is the one example wherein the body current is used. Anyway, so you are into yoga also.
Right, sir.
What is the use of yoga? Like if we connect the physiology into it from the medical point of view. So what is the effect and how this yoga is working scientifically in the body?
Yes, sir. Sir, yoga has both physiological and psychological benefits. As you've asked the physiological benefits, so I have been practicing yoga for 3 years, and under my teacher, he has conducted certain studies which study the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system in the body. So yoga basically works upon the parasympathetic nervous system, and it helps in relaxing the body. So it has got benefits like slowing our breath rate, and also strengthening the muscles of our body. So while practicing, for example, if we practice Surya Namaskar, so it has a holistic effect from the tip of the toe to the top of the head. So holistic improvement of overall bodily physiology happens in Surya Namaskar. So parasympathetic nervous system also is
So
triggered.
yoga is having more connect with the blood flow or with the water constituent in our body or energy flow.
So it has all, but if I may speak on pranayam, so it triggers the energy flows like the Nadi Shodhan pranayam. So energy flows, it also considers while performing.
Is the lunar position is also impacting the yoga activity sometimes?
Sir, which position? I was not able.
Lunar position, like we have solar eclipse, we have the say for example Mahashivratri day.
Right, sir.
We have a particular position of sun and moon and earth. So
Yes, sir.
on that day, if we are having yoga, will there be any negative impact on us or positive? More comparatively.
Yes, sir. Sir, I was attending this Sadhguru's platform, yoga platform. So there specifically the yoga for cooling down and for de-stressing the body. The yoga is the pranayam specifically is performed on the full moon day. So there must be some linkage with the lunar positions. Although I'm not aware of the scientific reason behind it, but
So if there can be high tide or low tide in the sea, there can be high tide and low tide in a body too, because 70% or so is our body is water.
yes, sir.
My last question, that the CDR reserve, there was some problem with some particular state that the deputation was the main bone of contention between these states. So to have this appropriate CDR, what we have done so far and what are the bottlenecks?
Sir, I'm not aware of the CDR reserves as of now.
Okay, so deputation reserve, central deputation reserve.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, you are not knowing. So, okay, Vikalp, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Vikalpa. Nice seeing you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very impressed the way you handled questions and a lot of pressure put onto you, and you did a pretty good job. And I'm
Thank
sure we'll continue with the streak, the next interaction that we have now. So Vikalpa, I was actually quite amused to see that you are a telecommunication expert and you've done MTech. But
Yes,
at the
sir.
same time, one keeps on wondering as to why have you gravitated instead of, you worked in the field also, why do you want to join IAS? So you tried giving an answer before, but I'm not really very happy with it.
Yes, sir. Sir, Ericsson has provided me with a lot of technological experience in the telecom domain. While working with Ericsson, I came across this Prayas NGO under the CSR project that was undertaken by Ericsson. So with the Prayas Foundation, I got to work with some underprivileged children, and they had come to visit our offices, and we got an opportunity to teach and train them in both social soft skills and hard skills. So they were children from ranging from 3rd class till 10th class. So while interacting with them, while teaching them, I experienced a lot of joy in myself. So I thought that if this was a glimmer of hope, that I might try my hands at improving the lives of many underprivileged people that are there. So
You
this
can
was the
join an
basis.
NGO and do the same job. You need not join IAS and migrate into a different domain. You could have done it by joining an NGO and perhaps getting more satisfaction.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have experienced working with NGO during my stint with Ericsson. I believe that government is the biggest
Okay.
NGO.
We'll deal with it subsequently. I just wanted to know that you're in telecommunications, and I was actually amused as to how the communication satellites work. Where do you think they are positioned, the communication satellites? What is the geostationary orbit? Are you aware of it?
Yes, sir.
What is ionosphere then? Are you aware of ionosphere?
Yes, I'm aware, but I'm not aware of the altitude. It is the topmost layer.
And it is, how is it used in telecommunications?
Yes. Sir, I'm not aware of the specific phenomena as of now. I will have to read about it further.
Okay, I'm sure you will read it and find out. At the
Yes.
same time, when you talk of telecommunication, and communication is again into social media also. So what is your take on the IT laws that we have and the spread of the fake news that we have today? We see that India is on the boil. The various kind of fake news which is flooding the WhatsApp university. What's your take on it and the applicability of our IT laws?
Yes, sir. Sir, we have, I believe that IT rules of 2000 need an updation looking at the present circumstances. Secondly, as a policy, the government has to come up with the BN Sri Krishna committee integrating the personal data protection laws and the public data protection laws, all encompassing, for providing a holistic data protection laws to the countrymen. And thirdly, at an individual level, we need to train people of handling the social media, because it can both act as a boon and the bane. So we need to train individuals personally.
Suggest a way. How will you train people on social media? Just suggest me a couple of things.
Sir, we can firstly we can make a YouTube tutorial of suggesting the digitally illiterate people, and how to use the social media, like how to allow the cookies, or how to allow the personal data, and where to click yes or no to read the privacy policies. So first is that. Second is, we can also include the digital literacy programs in the educational curriculum itself, from first standard to 12th
IT
standard.
as a subject in 11th and 12th, computer science, and computer has moved into schools from 8th standard onwards. Think about it.
Yes,
I
sir.
would just like to know one more thing. Now that you work with Ericsson and we are moving to 5G, what's the difference between 4G and 5G?
So 5G is 100 times more in terms of the speed and the latency. Latency is less than 1 millisecond. So in terms of the speed and the latency, it is an improvement over the 4th generation.
How does it
And also,
make a difference to me when speed increases from 50 megabytes to 1000 megabytes? How does it make a difference to me?
sir, it will
Speed of assimilating information remains the same. How does it make a difference?
Sir, if I may explain it in layman terms, a bigger chunk of data passes on to the receiver, at a faster rate if we use the 5G as compared to 4G. For example, if we use 5G, it may pass on to the receiver in 1 second, as compared to 10 seconds if we use 4G.
Okay. Last question for you, now that you are working with Forest Service also. And we saw the cellulite picture, Sherni.
Yes, sir.
And what's your take on this movie? Is it actually bringing home conservation, or it is bringing some disturbing news that we see in the environment?
Sir, I would like to see in both the lights. In positive light, it has definitely brought the environmental conservation in the limelight. After the movie was released, there was a lot of talk about the Indian Forest Services and their duty and the roles in conserving the diversity. And also, it was led by a women officer. So that also added much authenticity to the movie. And second part is, if I may say so, certain issues were raised in the movie, like mining issues, also conflict between the politicians, the officers serving in the area, and the locals, and their livelihood opportunities, which were in conflict with the officials and the politicians. So certain issues were raised, and definitely it was a ringing bell for the conservation measures to be furthered in the country.
Thank you very much, Vikalpa. I enjoyed interacting with you, and I wish you all the best. All yours,
Thank you,
Samu.
Yes, welcome, Vikalpa.
Good afternoon,
And
sir.
congratulations for being selected in the IFS.
Thank you, sir.
Just continuing from Sunil sir's question, do you know on which IFS officer the story was based on? Shweti?
Yes, sir. It was Miss KM Abharna. So she was serving in Yavatmal district of Maharashtra. So that was the story of her life.
Right. So now one more question, since it's quite dominantly evident on your DAP that you are an electrical and electronics engineer, could you please tell the difference between electrical and electronic?
Sir, if I may tell it in a simple way, electronics
Sure.
deals with semiconductors and electrical deals with conductors. So more of a micro level and macro level. So so electrical deals with kilowatts, kiloamperes, and electronics deals with microamperes, microvolts.
All right. I expected an answer in a more layman words. Could you please give me some examples of electrical devices and electronic devices?
Yes, sir. So the mobile device that we are using is an electronics device, whereas the lighting system, the fan, the electrical appliances that we use, AC, inverter, television, these are all electrical devices.
All right. Now, since you come from Maharashtra, could you please tell me one or two major problems that your state is facing?
Yes, sir. So first and foremost is the disparity between the western and the eastern Maharashtra. So the regional disparity is the prominent feature seen in the state. And secondly is the state of agriculture in the Maharashtra state, agriculture state. And thirdly is the state of infrastructure seen in the urban centers in the state. Like for example, in Pune and Maharashtra, there's a challenge of unplanned urbanization due to in-migration from other states and other districts. So the infrastructure falls short of providing the civic amenities to its people. So this is the third issue that I see.
All right. So I'll narrow it down to the second problem that you mentioned regarding agriculture. What is the government doing in this regard? Like any schemes or anything has been taken up?
So the central government had come up with the farm laws, which was seen as a structural reform to solve the problems of the agrarian crisis. Also, it was in line with the Ashok Dalwai committee, which was aimed at doubling the farmers' income at the central level. And at the state level, the state governments, time and again, and on an year basis, have come up with remunerative policies to provide to the families which have faced the farmer suicides in a remunerative basis. And secondly, to improve the income of the agricultural families, they have certain schemes to shift the farmers from wheat and rice to more remunerative crops like horticulture, like pomegranates, custard apples, etc. And thirdly is they have also organized the mandi structures. So linking it with urban areas, opening up spaces to provide direct farm fresh vegetables to the urban areas. These things they have taken up at the state government level.
All right. Now you talked about the farm laws. Eventually, the farm laws were taken back by the government. So some people have a say that the farm laws were actually not well communicated to the people. So, and you have already served as your publicity head in some of your college initiatives. So, if you are heading the publicity wing or what we call it as DIPR in government, what you would have done to communicate these farm laws better, or for that matter, any scheme or anything that is being done? So, what is the plan of action for a publicity head?
Yes, sir. Sir, the laws that were made at the cabinet level had to be placed in front of the public way ahead of its time. Like the public had to be given a long time for deliberation within themselves. So a longer time window had to be provided. And as a publicity stunt, as a publicity lead of the country or in any position, I have to make sure that the information reaches to the beneficiaries, the last beneficiaries of the laws, that is the farmers. And in the farmer consumer relation, the farmer has to be benefited then only, because he or she is the ultimate consumer. So the farmer has to be benefited. For that reason, the farmer has to be educated in all languages, preferably in their regional languages. So regional languages, advertisements of the farm laws had to be made, had to be put across the publications, the magazines, newspapers, and the local leaders have to be communicated what the laws exactly are made for, and what all reforms the laws would bring, and how they would improve the lives of the farmers. So at the local level, these things have to be communicated. And certain nukkad nataks or involving school children to display the benefits in terms of plays, or some creative form can be used to make the farmer families aware of the laws and their rights. So these things can be taken up.
All right. And then you talked about infrastructure, like urban infrastructure, and your hobby is creating craft out of waste. So, do you know any city where some waste parks or waste to wonder parks have been created?
Yes, sir. Sir, if I may recall, Chandigarh was one place where Mr. Nekchand had made the rock garden. So he used bangles, plastic bottles, used tires to make figurines, and he developed a beautiful rock garden. Also in Pune, also there is a garden which has made 7 wonders of the world using the waste materials. So Mr. Nekchand's concept has been replicated in many cities in India.
All right. Do you understand the term legacy waste?
Sir, I have heard about it, but I'm not unable to recall it at this moment.
You can guess if you wish to.
The waste that has been lying for a very long time, which is not degradable in the present moment, or taking very long time to degrade.
Right, absolutely right. So my last question to you, as a municipal commissioner, if you join the IAS, you will be serving as a municipal commissioner. What are the steps you will take to take care of this legacy waste?
Yes, sir. Sir, as we know that Indore is a city which has stood first in Swachh Bharat Sarvekshan always for 5 consecutive years. So I will take an example from that city to address the problem of waste, legacy waste. So firstly, I would at the institutional level, I would make aware of the challenge at hand of waste to my subordinates and my field staff. Secondly, as a publicity campaign, we would make the community aware of their rights and their obligations as a responsible citizen to dispose of the waste from their end. And thirdly, I would organize the unorganized sector in the value chain of waste management. So unorganized, for example, there's an NGO called Swachh in Pune, working in Pune, and that is working very fine in collecting the dry and the wet waste in Pune. So that uses the unorganized sector workers. So I can replicate that model to handle the waste.
All right. Thank you so much, Vikalpa. Really nice talking to you. Over to
Thank you.
Ms. Vikalpa.
Hello, Vikalpa. How are you?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm fine.
I'm very fascinated by your name. I must say it's a very unique and a nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have mentioned yoga as one of your hobbies, and I feel that you have 3 years of experience in yoga and everything. Can you tell me the difference between yoga and meditation?
Definitely, ma'am. Ma'am, yoga is, as it is called, Ashtanga Yoga. So it has 8 limbs, and meditation or the dhyan is one of the limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. So yoga is a holistic term, and meditation is a part of it.
Okay. Okay. While we do yoga, we try to basically balance our chakras. Can you please name all the chakras from the root chakra till the top of the head?
Ma'am, I'm not able to recall, but there are 7 chakras in our body, starting from the root chakra, which is the Mooladhara, and the top chakra. There are 7 chakras. I am not remembering the names right now.
Okay, you can tell me the placements of these chakras.
Ma'am, one is at the Mooladhara, that is the anal part, and the abdominal part, solar plexus, there is one, and one is near the throat area, and one is near the eye and the temple area. So I crudely remember the positions, but I'm not remembering the names, exact names.
That's okay. Have you heard about vrittis? While in yoga, we try to balance the chakras to enhance to somehow channelize the vrittis. So can you explain what these vrittis are and how many of these vrittis do we have?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, going by the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, there are 196 sutras, and one of the sutras is Chitta Vritti Nirodhaya. So the aim and objective of yoga is Chitta Vritti. So culling the sensual part of the body. So these vrittis are the patterns and the notions which we fix to objects or happenings or situations in our lives. For example, it is mostly considered in a negative way, the vrittis. So yoga helps in disciplining our body, and the 8 limbs like yam niyam asan. So going by all the steps, like disciplining our physical body, then disciplining our senses, cutting out the mind which wanders around, and focusing on oneself and meditating on the self, and finally unifying with the supreme energy. So this is the process of yoga, and during this process the vrittis cut automatically.
Okay, very well. When we talk about balancing the chakras, each chakra has its own, reflection, its own importance in our body. Can we say that we can correlate the chakra system of our body with Maslow's hierarchy of need principle?
We can definitely correlate it by moving from top chakra to the uppermost chakra. We can moving from physiological needs like food, sleep, shelter, to second level of emotional needs. Third level is some creative needs, and fourth or fifth level is the spiritual need, in which we go beyond ourselves to take care of our society or the nation or some bigger goal, larger than ourselves. So definitely we can correlate it with the Maslow's law of hierarchy.
Okay, very well attempted. I would like to, last question from yoga. Which can you tell me how many chakras are basically the ones that connect us with spirituality or gradually connect us or move us towards spirituality?
Ma'am, the top chakra is the one which connects us with spirituality, the God, the universal truth, the topmost chakra.
Okay, okay. Now we were in your previous answers to my fellow panelists, you were talking about data. Can you, like, I'm a layman, can you explain what is data and what is data colonization?
Yes, ma'am. Data is a set of quantity or some numbers, alphabets. Data is a crude form, and if it is organized, then it becomes information. And talking about the uh, data colonization means unauthorized or illegal uh, attempt to control others' data. For example, data colonization is seen in terms of the servers, for example, Indian servers that are placed in outside country, and they might be using data of Indian citizens to use for their own benefits. So that becomes a data colonization example.
Okay, from this only, firstly, has there been any instance in the international scenario where such use of data by one country has led to certain changes or certain consequences in another? And second question, is India in particular doing something in relation to data colonization?
Yes, ma'am. I'm talking about the first part of your question. The Cambridge Analytica case was prominently seen during the US presidential elections. I'm not aware of the year. I'm not recalling it. So the Cambridge Analytica case, wherein the the metrics or the statistics of the citizens of USA were used by Cambridge Analytica to target to advertise the targeted audience and change their perspectives regarding the presidential candidate. So the politics of that country was so to say uh, impacted by colonization. And secondly, the steps taken by India to address the data colonization issue is it has come up with the B.N. Sri Krishna Committee for data privacy laws, and it has addressed and asked the private players like big techs like Facebook, Google, to place the servers in the country, in-house country itself. Also, it has made distinctions between the personal data and private data and public data. So it has classified the data, and depending upon the severity of the data, the authorization from the individual has to be taken by the company. So these are few measures that I am recalling at this moment.
Do we have a specific term for when India asks Google and other Facebook, all these companies to place their data within the territory of India? Do we have a specific term for this?
Ma'am, there is a specific term. However, I'm not able to recall it.
It's data localization.
Localization. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. So that was it.
Vikalpa, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am extremely delighted having met you today. You are born in 92, just between 1 year after my first child and 2-3 years after my second child. I'm a father of 2 children who are, both of them are US. I'm extremely happy that born in 92 with around 30 years of age and maybe 29 years of age, dedicated, having done MTech, having subbed. You are fantastic. The country will miss you if they don't select you into IAS.
Thank you, sir.
And I wish you are selected into the IAS, you go to Maharashtra and serve, because you also from Madhya Pradesh, from that background. I wish you with the reincarnation of Rani of Jhansi, Lakshmi Bai. And you'll go and use the talwar of your knowledge and experience of your education and make service better. With this, I'm extremely excited, and I took the permission of the board to tell you slightly personal. And I'm predicting today that you will be getting perhaps one of the topmost marks in the interview. And I wish you top this country in civil services.
Thank you, sir.
Second, while I say this, I also need your permission as your father to tell you certain things which encourage you, which also make you note down. So note down those points first.
Yes, sir.
This, how much marks you give to yourself in this performance. Forget, don't expect my feedback that I gave you. But honestly, how many marks would you give to yourself?
So 7 out of 10.
Okay, good, nice. This board has also decided 7, but as I told you, I adopted myself as your father, so I am giving you 75. So that is the discretion quota of the chairman. Chairman added 5 more. So you get 75, extraordinary, simply. So note down the points very quickly, and if you have any doubts, you can contact any one of us anytime, no problem.
Sir, 1 second. Yes, sir.
The 7-star ability that you have is your ability of linking the experiential linkage to your aspirational planning. If somebody asks you what is your best ability, to me, I've studied in you as a psychologist also. I found out in you your ability to link your experience with your aspiration, experiential linkage with your aspirational planning. That is your ability that I found out. And the other 11 extraordinary things which I noticed in you is you are balanced, uniform in your attention span, and devotion dedicated. Your pronunciation is good, up to the mark, and you are not using any so-called accent. You are using all the UPSC marked words, and you are having good knowledge about the subject you broached, and you are very honest and frank in your opinions. You did not beat around the bush, except once, which I'll come back to you. And the 6th strength is yours, is your knowledge about your state, both Madhya Pradesh as well as Maharashtra, is extraordinary. You know the problems of the farmers, urban problems. When Abholji asked about the legacy issues, you took his permission, you did not hazard any guess, you did not jump to the conclusions, and you guessed it correctly. Maybe it's a strategy. That's a good strategy. Even if you know the answer, ask the person to give you a strategy and then enthrall him as if he is a. So that kind of impress the questioners also. That's a fine strategy. Good. And 7th is you also when you know, most of the times you know when to stop, except on one occasion, but you know when to stop. That also is good. The 8th is you are taking prior permission of the people of the board to articulate. That's also another good strength you have. And 9th strength is you understanding. You are able to understand the meaning between the lines. When somebody is asking the questions, you are able to understand where is hinting it. You are not going to literal meaning of it. You are going to technical aspect. You are also going to the meaning of it. And you are able to, one of the best things which I observed, which enthralled me, was your ability to navigate from sociology to technology and coming back. And not appearing as if you are traveling in 2 boats. Both boats are in your command. You appeared like a commander in the army, which also commands a pistol as well as a tank. That is wonderful. That's where your ability as a master of the resources of the government, wherein you command the peon as well as the chief secretary. That's where the real governance comes into picture. I admire. So the 12 qualities I gave you. Normally, I don't give this much of time to anyone. But I'm giving you for my country's sake. Now, regarding your weaknesses, which you need to know, is you should know the technical, you should be anticipating. Electronic has got a mass or it's at the charge, it's a decided thing. You should not be confusing. You're an electronic engineer, you should know what it is exactly. You should also know what it is an ionosphere. Number 2. Number 3, weakness which you have. You should be expecting the questions from communication engineering about and number 4, data is the new thing in the world. So you should know what is the definition of data according to the Government of India, and also data according to B.N. Sri Krishna Commission. What is data? And according to your electronic books, how electronics is defined, how society defines, how law defines. So according to the frame of the question, you give the use. If an electronic point of question comes, you give a technical knowledge. If a question comes from the legal point of view, you give it, because this data has got all the 3. Social media, Facebook, Google has got one set of definition. B.N. Sri Krishna has got one set of definition. Ravi Shankar Prasad ji, when he was law minister, when he introduced the bill, he has one set of definition. Right? You and I understand data as one set of definition. As a set of unconnected things which could be connected by means of converting it into knowledge or information, and then knowledge, and then wisdom, like that. Right?
Yes, sir.
You should also know the basic, this is another weakness which I pointed out, which I noticed. You should know the difference between fundamentalism and fundamentals. You should be anticipating the fundamentals correctly because you can anticipate all the questions regarding your fundamental. Ericsson is a failed company. It has gone away. This question will come, why Ericsson failed? What is Ericsson? Who is Ericsson? What is he doing? Is he in jail? So these things can come. Why do you leave Ericsson? So these things will come. So, and please put your knowledge into straps, under control. Like, ask the question to come. Let the data come. Do not try to give all that you know. You should anticipate. It should be like it's a cricket player, you know. When you are bowling, you should know what are the responses of the batsman. And you should also be a chess player. So this is another weakness which you have. Another weakness I found out is, well, yes, you failed to, beautiful question was asked to you. You said prayas, you said you taught and understood. Fine, I do. But answer should be, as one of our distinguished members also correctly pointed out, IAS inspiration is not because you worked in an NGO. That added. You belong to the country, you are proud of this country, you want to serve, you want to contribute, you want to be a painter, you want to see the signature of you on the painting that you do. Because when you leave the world, I also did something for this great country. And these people have contributed to that. They have reaffirmed your determination. They are not the reason of your determination.
Yes.
Got that. Why you want to come to IAS? Because whatever may be the country, the government is still, rightly so, the my-bop of the people of the country. That's the reason. That I want to be a better my-bop. My people, my children. That's the reason. That kind of thing, you know, emotional connectivity.
Yes, sir.
That is where our Jaitley Sahib has correctly pointed out. And do not, and last weakness which I point out is, ma'am asked you a question about yoga, about chakras, about Abraham Maslow. I don't think you agree with ma'am's trapping question, whether you can link Abraham Maslow, a useless fellow, with chakras, the yogic contribution of India. He's a psychologist. He gave, I also am an admirer. When I was not aware of Adi Shankara, I thought Abraham Maslow is a superior thing. When I came to know about Adi Shankara, then I know Abraham Maslow is like me. I also could be giving Romani theories. Ma'am asked, kindly mention, yes, ma'am, there is a scope. We can link primordial needs. How can you put Mooladhara Chakra with primordial needs? How can you put Sahasrara Chakra, Anat Chakra, or other 7 chakras? In fact, there are 9 chakras, not 7. Vishuddhi Chakra, Agya Chakra, the 3 parts of the body, the bottom, the middle, and the top. The bottom is for your physical work, karma. The middle is for maintenance, gnana. The bhakti. The third one is gnana. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, gnana yoga. And Ashtanga definition, you perhaps don't know all the Ashtanga. What are the Ashtanga things you mentioned? You mentioned Ashtanga. You said that Yama, Niyama, Asana, Dhyana, Dharana, right? And Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dhana, and Samadhi. All the 8 you should know. You said there are 190 sutras of Patanjali. You quoted the second one. Yoga, Chitra, Bhutti, Nirodha. Mention that. And she was so thrilled that you are the only person who mentioned yoga and you know yoga. You practice yoga. When you know the question, when once this domain knowledge comes into picture, you just blast nicely, politely. And one good thing that I noticed in you is there is a link between your body language and your answers. That link you should maintain. When they are asking you about farmer problems, do not smile. There used to be one DGP, I must swear. He worked in the IB. He worked in our state later on. He worked the whole life in IB. He came, our left front government made him as DGP. Bechara, he did not know how to handle the press. There was this worst incident wherein 14 people were killed. Nandigram incident. The press fellows went and asked. He was smiling. First press conference of him in life. He was smiling. 14 people died in the police firing. Will you encourage that kind of work? You don't. In other words, your concern, your body language is 93% of the communication. Your body language and your utterance and your knowledge must be harmonious. That you maintain very well. So even if the board is trying towards playing jokes and all, you maintain it. When you are talking about serious matters about poverty, about suicides of the farmers, you maintain that concern about the child rapes, about 376, about all these things, about Ukraine war. You maintain that. You maintain. When you talk about excitement, when you talk about India or 5 trillion, you talk about Jhansi Rashmi or Chandrasekhar Azad, you maintain that emotion. So switching over, that's good. So maintain that. So some suggestions I would give you now. Social media, you should be extremely careful about when you venture the idea into social media. Google, when you're mentioning about the Google or Facebook, and now you call it Meta. Don't mistake this. No longer. You should be careful about that. Then you'll be caught unnecessarily. So be careful about this. And number 2 is no generic answer to specific questions. One way mistake you did was, one of the members asked, can you train the people? You said you can. And you went and beat around the bush, like Google, YouTube. Who bothers about YouTube now? Other questions will come. YouTube, my tube, his tube, her tube. So these questions can come. So when you say, yes, 5G technology is there, today we have people, empowerment is there. Nobody is teaching our people how to use a smartphone. People are. Technology can be an answer. It's a proof to go that way. And digital divide, he was asking about digital divide, mention the appropriate words. This is another suggestion. You are very good. I'm not finding fault with you, but my suggestion, humble suggestion. Mention good words which communicate, because Amulji was talking. If you can tell him in one word, your paragraph is not needed. Brevity. If you can use the words. Nobody is perfect. At your age, I don't expect you to speak like me. I've got 40 years, 6 years in industry and 34 years in I don't expect you, but you can try. For example, digital divide, digital colonization. What is data? Data is a resource. It is the new empowerment tool. The more data you have, the more powerful you are. That's what is a Facebook? What does Facebook do? Facebook sells the data. Google sells the data. That's all. They're the most powerful. One example will do. Why Google is or Facebook is the number 1. What do they do? Are they selling any toothpaste? They're selling the data. Simple as that. So that's where it is. Collection and then classification and then making it as a tool, as a service provider. And data is power. Data is also empowerment. That's where you use these words. Data, and why he asked about a question, 5G and 4G. Beautiful. See, don't miss this kind of answers, this kind of questions. Extraordinary answer you could have given. The difference between 5G and 4G is, in the same time, I'm empowering my people to consume more data, to consume more nutrition, to consume more, because more data is more power. Equality before law. Constitution of India says equality before law. 5G makes people more equal because data is equal. It makes equality before law adaptable to all people. Digital divide is no longer possible. And the cost of 5G is very little in this country. Right? This is a new way of thinking. They're not mentioned. You don't have to think of that. And yoga, you mentioned extraordinarily well. And last, I'm coming to the last point about standard answers are there. Whenever the question comes, please classify into 3 parts. Whether it is a data-driven question, whether it is a knowledge-driven question, whether it is an opinion-driven question, or last, whether it is a law-driven question. And do not confuse in the answers. Classify and go accordingly. Don't confuse a legal question with a data question. Right? This is a framework I'm giving you. And I'm extremely happy when I ask such questions, I can understand you understood so well. The questions which were asked by all of us are very, very confusing, because we could see in you, I set the ball in rolling. They followed. That's how every interview board follows. The chairman knows. The chairman set the ball rolling. And then they will put the standards. If you are a bright candidate, the best questions will come to you. You are a bright candidate. I hope you will get the best interview board and you also do well. Rehearse, you have a lot of time to mention. You can always come back to us and read, rehearse. All the very best. I would like to see you as a topper of the batch and serve the people of Maharashtra. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So Vikalpa, may I know that what will happen in 5th attempt? Means it is the 5th attempt, and in the previous attempt, what will happen?
Sir, I couldn't qualify the mains itself. This is my first interview, civils interview.
Okay, then
And
there is no...
I always fall short of 8 to 10 marks in my mains exam, probably because of my optional.
Then there is no problem. You must be getting very good marks. Very good marks.
Thank you,
Any
sir.
question you want to ask from any other?
Sir, during conversation, I find that there are certain gaps because I couldn't get much time to prepare this time, as I am undergoing training and I am occupied all day. So how can I optimize my time for practicing and improving and bringing brevity in my answers?
So
I have roughly 20 days in my hand.
You have roughly 20 days in your hand, but I will say that your frame is good. I think if you are able to maintain the same response frame like what you have delivered today, I think it would be fantastic. Only on the basic part that if you can work and you can connect your optional, your place of living, other places, alike places, to name DEF entries, basically 70% or more questions are from the DEF entries. And since you have worked in the technical domain a lot, many questions will be asked. Right. So all in all, I feel that you need to keep your health intact and just with the last minute information on the very day also when the interview is there, you can update yourself. And also the DEF entries, the basic things.
Yes, sir.
This is all observation.
I add one thing. Be sure about
yes.
the current events. Just follow. They are not going to ask you about the riots, Jangir, Puran. They are not going to ask you. But they will definitely ask you about the current events, about Sri Lankan war, about Sri Lanka, the civil situation, civil strife in Sri Lanka, about the elections in Pakistan, or about the Ukraine war. These impact on us, and about the United Nations formulations about price rise, inflation, and last but not least is about judicial activism. Lot of cases about ministers being in jail in Maharashtra. They may not mention the names, but they may say, if entire cabinet or a part of cabinet goes, they may say, ask about Rashmi Avasthi, my batchmate, is about data protection thing. Again, that is linked. And she was also she must be Pune Commissioner of Police when you were there studying. I visited. when you are studying maybe at that point of time. So these are the questions which are likely to come about data protection, about individual freedom. You have time. You are the, as Nitin ji has correctly pointed out. Do the rehearse.
Yes,
Put a mirror in front of you. Don't be excited and don't be also taking for granted. What we told you today is a reality, right? And go with full spirit.
yes,
So,
sir.
If I have to give you a piece of advice, it would be, please take a look, whatever, when you get this recording, take a look at it and actually figure out as to where you were lacking, where you could have done better. Presently, we did not actually concentrate a lot on international affairs.
Yes, sir.
And slowly and gradually, when we are looking at your date, which is 17th, till by and large, things start closing up, maybe within a week, IAS interviews will close it. Huge amount of current affairs will start playing a major role. So as Ramesh sir has very rightly said, understand what has happened today, but append to it by examining what you can do better. Please do understand you are not a normal candidate in the sense you are MTech. There's a huge amount of tag which goes along with you, especially in your field. You should definitely be perhaps the last word. And I look at you as MTech. Your migration to IAS must be very solid. It cannot be on a emotional. Understand what I want to say. Do look at the international affairs, and I think today Nitin has not advised. Otherwise, Nitin always advised, come for a real interview. When you come for another interview, when you actually are sitting on that hot seat, when 5 pairs of eyes are gleaning at you, and somebody is yawning and somebody is doing something, it plays a different. Your mindset actually goes crazy. Here it's very easy to manage on the screen, but when you have to scan and make sure that you are involved with each and every panelist while they're grilling you, while they're interacting with you, it'll definitely give you a big help, especially this being your first interview. I wish you all the best. And as Ramesh sir has very rightly said, you're a very strong candidate. We enjoyed interacting with you.
Rightly, sir, you stole my advice. If possible, appear for the means offline mock interview if you are coming to Delhi.
Yes,
Right. So, yeah, all the very best